Happy 2023 from you as we bring you the weekly New Hope City update. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media, along with the mayor, Kathi Hemken from the city of New Hope. Welcome, Mayor, and I like the background. We're on the big snowy day on the Tuesday here, but you're thinking summer?
I am. I just could not put that winter background. I'm looking out my window. I can't even see the golf course. So I thought, well, we'll do something that looks like spring. It can't be that far away.
We like it. I like the look. Well, we're going to do a little different approach to the update today. We've got some fun facts and interesting things about maybe some areas you don't hear about normally on these updates. We're also going to talk about a few timely things happening in the city, and then a park and rec update with a lot that's coming up in the near future in the city, and also a calendar of events for some things you might want to mark on your calendar. But we want to start with the snow. So again, we're taping this on Tuesday the 3rd, and Mayor is just coming down in buckets out there. So what are some reminders, and what have you maybe already heard about the effort to get the snow out of here by the city of New Hope?
I talked to the public works people this morning, and they're going to work late this afternoon, later than they usually do, to try to get as much snow as they can off the streets. And then they're going to go home and take a nap, and they're coming back in at 2 in the morning, and they will again plow, try to get it ready for the morning. Now, just a few things. You can't park on the street overnight anyway, but if you're on the street now, I would suggest that you try to get it off the street. After 2 inches, it's called a snow emergency, and you could get ticketed and towed if your car is on the street. So put those cars in the driveway or in the garage, and just get them off the street so that those snowplow drivers can do a good job of plowing the snow. Mm-hmm. And of course, they do the busier streets first and the cul-de-sacs later. So it might be that you're snowed in for just a little while, but okay, we'll get to you. Now, just a few other things to remember. Do not shovel your snow into the street. That doesn't help one bit. I know that the plows go by and they'll plow in your driveway, but shovel that off to the side in your yard. And certainly do not let your kids play in those snow piles by the street, because the drivers can't see them. And a lot of times they're not real stable. Not the drivers, the snowbanks.
Right.
The drivers are stable.
Yes, yes.
So just don't let them play in those snowbanks. We don't want anyone to get hurt. When there's a snow emergency, it's just that. It's an emergency. And we certainly appreciate what they're doing out there for us.
You bet. What about the sidewalks? What's a little advice, reminder about sidewalks for residents and businesses?
Well, if you have a sidewalk in front of your house, and not all houses do in New Hope, it's your responsibility to get that shoveled within 12 hours of the time it stops snowing. And again, don't throw it in the streets, throw it on your yard, but get that done, because people that are in wheelchairs or handicapped, they cannot or should not be in the street in those wheelchairs. They need to be on the sidewalk, so get that done. The city does have a sidewalk clearing program, if you will. So they'll plow the streets or the sidewalks that are more publicly used, but in front of your house, they will not. And of course, they don't do any of that until the streets are cleared.
Right.
And even the trails, they clear the trails of snow, but not till it's all cleared. And just one more thing, the ice rinks, that's like a lowest priority, right, to get that cleared. They want to get those streets cleared so they get people to work or to school, wherever they have to go. So it'll be a busy time. And if you really want to go ice skating, get your shovel and go shovel off the rink.
There you go. All right. We'll have some information about the rinks in just a little bit as you look at some things that maybe you can do over the holidays and into the new year here. Let's talk about some things that are up in New Hope. And the first fun fact we wanted to pass along as we start a new year is maybe take a little look back at some numbers. You've got a few numbers to pass along, Mayor, that might be of interest to some residents.
Well, 70 years ago, in 1953, we incorporated into the village of New Hope, and there were 953 residents there. So 10 years later, in 62, 9 years later, there were 5,800 residents. And now here we are 70 years later, and there's a little over 22,000. So I just thought that was kind of a fun fact to look at. We've grown a lot from the farm community that we were to the houses and the apartments that we are now.
You bet. Quite a few changes in that 70 years of time. Let's talk about some other departments. Normally, we touch on some of the key departments that residents might think of through our regular updates, but we thought since there's a little break here with not as many updates through the holidays, let's talk about some other areas. So spotlight a few of the unsung heroes, if you will, in other departments within the city.
The city is like a big business. And of course, like a business, you do some outside things that you're selling or putting on programs, but that's all that internal stuff. So we have a HR department, and what they do is they do the negotiations with the two unions that we have. They also keep all the records of all the employees, just all the internal things that would normally have happen. They run a wellness program for the employees. They do employee relations, and they help with the budgeting process.
Right.
So there's only two of them in the HR department, and they're pretty busy keeping things just in track.
Sure. And let's hop over to the finance department. They're keeping track of lots of numbers as well, and dollars and things that come in and out of the city. Tell us a little bit about that department, how that happens.
Well, the big thing is a payroll. So they get payroll out on time. We've got 93 employees. So that's a big job with all the deductions and all the things they have to keep track of on that. So they do that. They also pay the bills. So these are things, if you think of a normal household, the things that go on inside the house that people don't really notice. So they're doing the bills receivable, the bills payable, they're doing all that, and they help in the budget process too.
Very good. So that's the finance department. They also look at some of the contracts the city has on a regular basis to keep those up to date. But there is some outsourcing that happens by the city. So sometimes the city might decide to do things externally. Tell us a little bit about that decision process and why that makes sense for the city at times. And what are some of those ongoing areas that are outsourced?
Well, one of the big ones is our IT. We do that with solution builders. And the reason we do that is because when a computer goes down in the police department, they need that fixed right away. And we just can't have one or two people in that department that can maintain all of that. Because most of the time, everything's running smoothly, but once in a while, nothing's running smoothly. And we need a whole business to do that. So building solutions have got a whole team behind them. And when we need them, they're on call for us. So we outsource our IT department. The other thing we outsource is, it's called Abdo. It's a finance or a accounting firm, and they help with our budgeting process. There's a lot that goes into that, and they're the ones that put it all together, and they're the ones that very often I'll say, can we afford that? And they know what's in the budget, and they tell me, yes, we can, or no, we can't. So we outsource that. Even though we have a finance department, they're running the internal parts, and Abdo is running basically the external parts. The third thing we outsource is our engineering department. We don't have a full-time engineer that's just ours. We use the engineers from Stantec, and we have one engineer that does most of the stuff, but occasionally they need a team. And when they need that team, they go back to Stantec and they employ that team. So those are the three groups that we outsource, that we just found that it's financially practical to go outside with those three things than to try to hire the people and pay the benefits and pay the wages and to have it done internally.
Some interesting information that residents might not have known. So there's a look at some of the things that happen behind the scenes in the city. Now let's talk about some timely things that are coming up and some of the things we've been talking about in past weeks. The first is the golf course superintendent position. I understand some movement has been made.
It has. We have hired somebody, and it's a guy, and he's supposed to start about the 20th of January. So there's still some papers to sign. He's agreed that he is going to do that. I want to point out that this is not a new position. This is a position that Mark Severson has held, and then he became the director of the golf course and the ice rink, and he continued running the golf course. He's working a lot of hours, and he shouldn't be working that many hours. So we're hiring, we're just filling a job that we already had, and that's the superintendent. So we should see that person, and they'll come and they'll have most of the winter to get ready to run the golf course.
But they will have an event coming up, believe it or not, in the winter at the golf course, and this is the winter golf event. Remind us what this is, of what crazy people do at the golf course in the winter and how it is set up.
Well, it's going to be the 4th of February. And what they do is they take their little bobcat and they actually plow runways. They plow fairways. There'll be
Right.
6 holes, and the holes aren't very long. They ask people to bring their own golf club, or they can get one from the course. And we get tennis balls, and you hit the tennis ball with your golf club, and it bounces off the sides of the snowbanks. And they have a ring that they have to get it into that ring. It's so fun. And then after that, there's free coffee and hot chocolate. And there's usually a fire on the patio. They can sit around and keep warm. It's just a fun time for all. They're asking people, if you are going to come, please register so that we know and we can kind of give you a tee time. It's between noon and 3 on the 4th of February. So call up the golf course and register just like you would a tee time, and then you can just go. I believe it's going to be $15, and that includes the golf and the coffee and beverages.
Sounds like great fun. All right, a little winter golf in the city. A few other updates going on. House of Hope Lutheran at 48th and Boone. They are doing some work there. Explain that for us.
Well, House of Hope had a tree line on the north side of their parking lot. Well, the trees got trimmed. Some of them came down because of emerald ash borer. So now their parking lot is right there looking at the neighbors' backyards to the north. So they're going to be putting up a 6-foot fence along that north side of their parking lot. And they have until the 1st of June to do that. Obviously, they can't do it now, but they are going to put up some sort of fence. We just want some privacy for the neighbors, and they won't have to look at all the cars in the parking lot.
All right, you mentioned earlier a little bit about ice skating, so let's talk about that, about the outside variety and inside variety. Let's first start outside. When the snow's not piled up, where are the rinks and when can people skate outside?
Well, 3 of our parks have skating rinks: Hidden Valley, Lions Park, and Liberty Park. Now, Liberty and Lions have hockey and general skating, and Hidden Valley only has the hockey rink. I have to remind people that they cannot take hockey equipment onto the general skating rink.
Okay.
Now, the one at Hidden Valley actually has a bituminous bottom to it, if you will. And so when it gets warm, that blacktop warms up and it's harder to keep ice there. And so the ice kind of melted and they're trying to put it back down. Just reminding people that they're not going to get that plowed until all the streets are plowed.
Right.
But there will be some ice there. Hidden Valley won't be as good as it usually is because they weren't able to get another layer of ice down. So they'll have the lights on between 5 and 9 p.m. on these ice rinks. The warming house hours, however, you'll have to look in your InMotion, and it should tell you when the warming house hours are at those 3 parks. So if you don't have an InMotion, you can go to City Hall and get another one to look at that.
Excellent. And information on the city's website about that as well, newhopemn.gov, and also information there about the indoor rink, the New Hope Ice Arena, and some of the skating hours there. So remind us about those. So
this is hockey season. And of course, the high schools are playing there. Youth hockey is playing there. But I understand that this Friday from 6:30 to 8 and Sunday from 4 to 6, they'll have open skating. It's $5. If you don't have skates or if they don't fit you anymore, you can rent skates for $3, and you can also get your skates sharpened there. Okay. So you do need to call, though, if you're going to come, to make sure that they don't have another hockey game or something else isn't going on there. But from what I hear right now, there's going to be open skating in both those 2 days. Very good. Final reminder, a timely nature we want to pass along is something called Cat Guard, and this is through the police department. Again, Mayor, remind us what the Cat Guards are and how residents can get involved with this. Well, the infamous stealing of catalytic converters still goes on. We try to keep it to a minimum, but you can't be everywhere all the time. So these Cat Guards are a label that you actually put on the catalytic converter. So the bad guys that are stealing them know that they're going to get caught if they take that catalytic converter with that name, that guard number on it. So what you need to do is go to the police department in New Hope with your ID, proof of ownership of your car, and bring your cell phone, because you'll have to register that number when you go to the police department. Okay. You can do it on your computer, but before you can walk out with a Cat Guard, it has to be registered so they know that that's where it's going and who it belongs to. Sure. So again, what you're going to need is your ID, proof of ownership, and proof of New Hope residency. And bring that and your cell phone, and then you can get one of these cat guards. And again, they're free, and it's just a matter of getting on the ground. Well, you don't want to do it outside, but getting
Right.
on the ground and putting this tag on there that doesn't come off.
Okay.
And you might be able to save yourself a couple $1,000s getting your catalytic converter not stolen.
Very good. Good advice. A good program through the city. All right. Let's talk for a few minutes about Park and Rec and some of the fun things that are coming up here. As kids are inside, they might be looking for some things to do. And Mayor, you've got some suggestions, and some are very unique.
That they are. So we have a preschool discovery kit. You can go into City Hall and buy that, and it's basically focused on preschoolers. And it's just an activity kit that you could do. It's got all the stuff you need to do that. The other thing you can get is a diaper science kit. Now, I'm assuming it's clean diapers, don't know for sure, but that's my thought. Apparently, there's something in diapers, and you'll get to understand the absorption of a diaper, the polymers that are used in that diaper, and then there's some other little things in this kit. And this is for the 8+, the kids
Okay.
over 8 years old. You actually cut the diaper up and they look at the different pieces and it explains what they are. But when I saw that in the emotion, I just couldn't believe it.
Yes, very interesting. All right. The name just will get people to sign up for that. So those are some take-home science kits. Now, how about some take-home recreation kits? You have an opportunity for kids and families to be very active.
Well, we do. There's a clay, I got to read this, a clay heart trinket box. So you can get this kit. It shows you how to use this clay to make this little heart-shaped box and some paints to paint it with. It's just everything you need to make a little trinket box.
Mhm.
And there's also an Easter Bunny bobblehead. That's pretty self-explanatory. You get the spring, you get the head, you get the body, and you assemble an Easter Bunny bobblehead.
That sounds fun. All right. And let's get the whole family involved with the last list of items that are going on. These are some recreation and some fun craft items too that the whole family can have some fun with. Tell us about those.
Well, the winter activity kit. So with that, that's a rental. So you go in, you pay some money, you get this kit. There's 2 sets of snowshoes for adults, 2 sets of snowshoes for kids, kid sizes. There's some sleds, some saucers, some things that you could just toss out in the snow and play with. So it's really a fun thing to get. It gives the kids something to do, especially if they're going to be home for a little while and in this wonderful snow.
Yes.
But not everybody has the opportunity to store sleds and snowshoes. So here you can just borrow them for a week or 2 and then bring them back.
All right. And another activity kit looking at a holiday coming up. That's Valentine's Day. What can we do?
Well, there's a Valentine craft kit. So you get that kit. This is an indoor thing, of course, and you're making cute little Valentines, and it's got all the stuff that you need. It's really, you can always go to like Michael's and get the stuff, but you don't know what you really need. With these kits, it's got everything in there that you need. And the nice part about that is now you know what you need.
Yep.
So if you need to make more of these, you can always go to Michael's and get the stuff there. But you've got the kit that'll give you everything that you need to make some Valentine things.
All right, Park and Rec having some fun and wanting you to get involved. Here's another way you can get involved. And again, as we tape this on the 3rd, there's plenty of material for this next project. This is making a snowman or snow sculpture.
Well, the Citizens Advisory Commission are the ones that are doing this. This is the 6th annual contest. So you're going to either make a snowman or a snow sculpture. You're going to take a picture of it, and you can email it to the city at rec@newhopemn.gov. And you should name your sculpture or your snowman. Last year, we had snowmen as little as that. I mean, just tiny little snowmen.
Sure.
And we had big sculptures. This is wonderful snow to go out there and make something. Just pack that snow in and then make something, call it something, and send us the pictures. There'll be some prizes awarded. The prizes are only going to go to New Hope residents. So make sure that you put your name and address and that you're a resident and the name of your sculpture. And you have until the 31st of March to get that in.
Sounds fun. All right. And again, email rec@newhopemn.gov to find out more and to get involved. few final notes through Park and Rec. One is a neat opportunity we've mentioned on a regular basis, and that's gift certificates. A great gift for someone can get them involved in activities through Park and Rec. How does that work?
Well, a lot of times the programs, they're costly in some cases. And it's really nice if you don't know what to get that child for either a Valentine present or a birthday that's coming up. You can go into City Hall, and I think you can do it online, I'm not sure. But you can get a gift certificate for just about any amount you want. If you want to buy them a season pass for the pool, you can get that now, or a season pass for the golf course. Or if you just want to give them a $5, $10, $15 gift certificate, you can do that. It's really something you know that's going to be used. The kids are going to look at their InMotion. They're going to find a program or a kit or something they want to do with that gift certificate. So it's kind of a cool gift. It beats socks and underwear.
There you go. I would agree. Looking way ahead, the city is looking to summer and some of the events that go on, and there's always a need for sponsors. Mayor, tell us how the sponsorship program works, who you're looking for, and how they can get involved.
Well, we have music in the park, we have plays in the park, and we have movies in the park. And all of this takes money, but we don't necessarily have that in the budget. So what they do is they go to businesses and ask them to sponsor one of these events. Some businesses, the smaller ones, will sponsor half of the event, and they'll get like 2 sponsors for one event. But the more sponsors we have, the more music, the more movies we can show. So what you want to do with that is call the Park and Rec department, tell them you want to be a sponsor and how much you want to spend on that. Your name will go into all the programs that they give out at these events. There'll be something on the screen if it's a movie that is sponsored by whoever.
Right.
And it's just a good way to advertise it. There's quite a few people that go to these things and see that. And it's just a nice way to help us, the city, do more for our residents. And there's also, of course, Safety Camp.
Right.
And you can sponsor either some of the food, some of the things that we give the kids at Safety Camp. So it's just a matter of calling Park and Rec and telling them you want to be a sponsor and how much you want to spend. And they'll just guide you through where your money is best spent.
Very good. Final note to pass along, and you mentioned just a minute ago that some of the Park and Rec programs do cost a little bit, and there is some assistance potentially available for some residents. Remind us how that program works.
Well, we do have some funds available, because I know that if you've got a couple kids and you want to get them in a program, it starts to get pretty pricey. So what they'll do is you'll go in with a proof of ID, and like a picture ID, and proof of residency, which would be like a bill of some sort that has your name and your address on it. And they will pay for half of the fee. So if it's a $20 fee, you'll get a $10 half off, and you would pay the other 10. And they don't ask a lot of questions, but what they really want to do is get the kids involved where they can. So if you need some help with that, you have to do it in person. You can't do it on the phone, and you can't do it online. You have to do it in person. So you have to figure out a time when they're there. And, just call Park and Rec. They'll tell you when they're there and what you need to bring and how they can help you to do that. So please use those funds that we have, because we really want our kids to be in these programs. Now, these programs that we're paying half, they don't include like the special events, like going to the Twins game or going to another outing like that. What they are is if the kids want to be part of baseball or softball, or a special kids event like Young Mothers, they will help pay for half of that. So please use that program, because it's there to help everybody when they need help.
A lot of information on the city's website about some of those numbers and the different programs. So again, we encourage you to go to newhopemn.gov to find out more about all of this we just mentioned about Park and Rec and all the things happening in the city. And we've also, if you stick with us for a minute, got some events coming up. That's going to be a list of things coming up in the next month that you might want to get involved in. Mayor, thanks again for your time today. Good luck with the snow out there in the next couple of days, and we look forward to talk to you again next week.
Thank you, Dave. See you then. Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.